world out there. Hey, it's Saturday. Yes, it is Saturday. Woo! I have not seen y'all in so long. It has been 7 whole days since I have seen y'all. That is a long time. Hey! I hope everybody has had an awesome and amazing week. I know I have had not just an awesome week, but it has been so productive. Just productive for me and getting things done behind the scenes. A lot of people take that for granted when you're a business owner because you're always at the forefront of things. But when you have to take a step back and work on the back end things and deal with some logistics that's not at the forefront. That's very, very time consuming, especially if you want to stay abreast it and compliant. So it has been not just an awesome week, but it has been a productive week for me. So yes, welcome to the show, everybody. If you've encountered some highs and some lows this week, don't worry about it. You don't have to stay in that space, not at all. Get up, dust yourself off, and thank God because you are still here in the land of the living. Someone didn't make it. So I just want to say, keep your head up. Keep your head up, okay? So, again, this past week, we had a lot going on. We had so much going on since I last talked to y'all last week, right? And you're probably saying, Shavonna, what all did we have going on? I don't quite remember. I went to work, took the kids to school, came home and cooked. Yeah, what did we have going on? So let me tell you what went on, right? We had Labor Day. We had National Read a Book Day. Did everybody read a book? I know I soaked in Mary Monroe. God don't like ugly, the upper room. Like, I love that lady. So I hope everybody got a chance to read a book and soak into enjoying Happy National Read a Book Day. We also had International Literacy Day, which is a good one. And we also had World Suicide Prevention Day and Patriots Day. So we had a lot, right? And each of these days means something different to all of us, right? And I do hope that everyone was intentional about checking in on someone that you love and you care for. Again, this is the month of September, and this is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And we just want to raise awareness to those whom we lost and those whom are struggling. I want to say hello to all of my listeners out there, my audience. I am using a new platform. So it's not showing me the names, but it's just showing me that someone is watching. So if I don't say your name, I do apologize, but I do want to acknowledge you. So hello, thank you for tuning in. We have an awesome show. If you have to leave, that's okay. It will be on Facebook for 30 days and it will be on the YouTube channel. I'll give you all that information in a minute. So on Let's Talk Finance, you know I like to kick it off with fun facts, right? Who does not like learning? Like, who don't want to know just the obvious? And in my mind, with me knowing just the obvious, one day I'm going to be able to go on one of these game shows and they're going to ask a question that no one has never ever asked, and I'm going to be the one that know the answer. But that's just my own little personal joke, right? So let's talk about the first fun fact. So nowadays, we use technology for a lot of stuff. And the main thing that we use in technology outside of the World Wide Web is a computer itself, right? I know we started with the really big monitors, the really big hard drives that used to sit on the floor. And at first it was all white, then they got black. And, you know, it just continuously, you had different colors, but you paid for those colors. Well, anyway, this is what I found out. A British mathematician, inventor, and philosopher. His name was Charles Babbage. And he is known as the father of the computer. So I had to dig a little deeper in that and find out, what did that mean? So Charles designed the different engine in 1822. This computer's functions were to calculate and print mathematical tables. He also designed the analytical engine, which was, it took him from the mid 30s to the mid 37, 1837 that is. And this computer engine was more complex. It was more complex than just the difference engine that did mathematical tables. This one had arithmetic, logic unit, memory, and conditional branching. So the ENIAC, which is the electronic numerical integrator and computer, dimensions for this computer. Now listen to what this was back in 1822. It weighed over 27 tons. The floor space was 1,800 square feet. It was 8 feet tall, 3 feet deep, and 100 feet long. Let me stop right there. Can you imagine right now getting a computer that big? Some of us live in apartments, some of us have studios. What are you going to do if the computer was that big now in 2025? What would you do? Now, typically, if you work with someone, you know someone, or if you're just online and you want a laptop, you can log right on to Best Buy, order you a laptop, or if you work with an IT team, you can get one built. So the longest you may have to wait is 3 to 5 days, and I'm pushing it. Can you imagine waiting 18 months? However, it took 18 months to build this computer. And here is the start time. They started June 5th, 1943. When they were done building this computer, it was May 1945. That's almost shy of 2 years. Like, can you imagine waiting 2 years nowadays for a computer? Today? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Somebody will be invented their own computer or whatever. No. Now, with this computer being as large and as massive as it was, and the complexity of it, it wasn't put into use until December 10th, 1945. That's 5 months later after it was built and ready to be go. So that means they had to do some more testing. Like, and that's my question to my audience today. Like, could you honestly wait 18 months to get a computer? And if you did, and it was 27 ton, what would you do with it? Like, what would you honestly do with it? What would you want it to do for you? So that's my fun fact for today. I thought it was a lot of pieces within that fun fact about Charles Babbage. But whoa, now I see why everybody loves computers and how they keep getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So yes, again, we're still in the month of September. So if you are celebrating a birthday this month, happy birthday to all my September birthdays. Celebrate, be safe, get birthday cake wasted. I particularly care for buttercream. So if you're thinking about me while you're eating some birthday cake, just slide me a slice on over. I'll be more than happy to take that off your hands. No problem. Now, let's talk finance again. I got a huge announcement for you, and I have been so waiting on this. I know you go. I know you know. I know you know because I talk about it every week. We have exactly 2 days, 2 days before corporation tax returns are due. So if you filed an extension in March for Form 7004, guess what? Your returns are due Monday at midnight. Monday, which is the 15th at midnight. Yes. So I want to say a special shout out to all my tax warriors out there that's working endlessly with these last minute tax clients. We got it. Let's just put on our hat and keep it going. A special shout out to Angel at Angel's Tax Services and Kamaria at Pendleton Quick Tax. You know, we work collectively sometimes, and We bounce ideals off of each other, and when it comes to the deadline, we definitely work hand in hand with one another. So big shout out to those ladies who's also working endlessly. Again, after the show, it's gonna be nonstop. I don't stop until midnight on Monday. Yes, so this is what your preparers are going through. So if you're one of those last minute clients, don't get frustrated and upset if your preparer or your accountant is asking for more information, if they're wanting more information, because you are being so last minute, that puts us at a standstill. And so when we have to wait on you, then it creates a misconception and a misunderstanding. And that's not what we're trying to do. Again, we want to help you. We want to be there for you. But in business, we also know that you make time for what and who is important to you. So you have to treat this of importance. If you don't treat it with urgency, how do you expect for us to treat it with urgency? It has to become a main priority for you, because as I've always stated, we've been here since January 1. Where have you been? And life has hit us. We've went through some ups and some downs. We've went through some losses. We've had work. We've had family. We've experienced some of the same things that you may have experienced, yet we are still here. So you can't get frustrated with your accountant and your preparer. Be nice. If you are last minute, drop off them documents. If they call and it's something they need, be readily available to deliver that, because again, they want to help you. And although it seems like it's last minute and we're rushing, we still want to give you the best service that you deserve, because you are our clients and we love you. But again, we only got 2 days. If you found out on Form 1040, that's individuals, you have exactly 32 days before your tax return is due, which is October 15th. Again, special shout out to tax preparers, tax warriors, and all tax firms. We are working overtime with our last minute clients trying to prepare these corporation deadlines. I think I had a client call me the other day after a GIF I posted, a last minute client coming to you with an 85-page tax return. And she called me and she was like, "Oh, Shavonna, I remember those days. That was me. I used to definitely come to you the day of with not just one corporation return, but I had two. But I'm better now." And just the fact that we can sit and laugh about that is so amazing. So to every preparer that's out there that's working this weekend, I'm in it with you. Let's rock together. So let's go ahead and jump into our show. I know there was a lot of announcements and a lot of shout outs. I typically try not to take up that much time with it, but when it's important, it's important. And if for any reason that this show does go over the 60 minutes and you have to leave, I do understand and I do apologize for going over. But when I think it's important and you need to know, I want to deliver that information. So let's talk finance. The topic of our show today is when it hits home. The financial task after suicide and the cost of healing and budgeting for that support. So, talking about suicide is never easy, but it's important. If you or someone you love has been affected, please know that you are not alone. Losing someone in this way can and will bring an unimaginable pain. Like, I can't even describe it. But it's a pain that I'm sure no one wants to feel. No one wants to feel pain anyway. And alongside of the pain that you're dealing with, now you have to worry about grief. And now you're worrying about the things that you have to do and what you have to take over. And now here comes finances. Finances never stop. Finances is a part of everyday living. Again, everything starts and ends with a transaction. If you use that every day, you will see how important finances is in your life. And anything could affect your finances. So when we talk about losing someone, when it comes to a tragedy such as this, or just losing someone, period, because no one wants to lose anyone, and that's a painful experience. But those first 30 to 60 days are so critical. And although you're in that grieving state and you're trying to hold it together for you and other family members and friends, you still have other weights on your shoulders that you need to put at the forefront. And I don't know how it feels to lose anyone by suicide, but I lost my mother. And when I tell you I had to put on that hat of responsibility and worry about grief later, it wasn't an easy task, but it had to be done. Did I have support? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's still challenging, to say the least. So within those first 30 to 60 days, and that's why I say these conversations need to be held in homes. These are conversations need to be held, whether you do a Zoom call, a Facebook call, a Google Meet call, or just a telephone call. This needs to be put in place. If something happens to me today, can things still go on? Do you know where to locate stuff? Can you find stuff? Do you know where it is? It's so important for those conversations to be had. And from time to time, I know I go to my big sister, Benita, and I tell her, look, hey, I'm joking, but this is serious. And make sure I have a dove, because I want some white doves. Spray paint one of them purple. I want a purple casket. And I want my own mausoleum. Don't have them put me in the ground. I'll come back and hunt you. And although while we're talking about it, we're laughing about it, but it's so important, because if anything happens, she knows what to do. One of my best friends know what to do. Another one of my best friends know if something happens, what to do when it comes to the business aspect of Anointed County. So these conversations, although they're hard, we still have to have them. But within those 30 to 60 days, if those conversations were not held, or if they were not held in detail, you're looking for wills, you're looking for trust in the states. You're trying to set up those family meetings. It's some people you want to include, but you can't include because they're irate, or they want things their way, or they have all suggestions and they don't have any solutions to the suggestions. It's just them. So you want to not incorporate them, but you have to. You have to find that median that can control that conversation. Now you have to look for insurance documents. Call insurance companies if you can't find those documents. Have the deceased person's name, social, date of birth, and other pertinent information for those security questions that's going to be asked over the phone. Was there a beneficiary? Then is that beneficiary capable of making the decisions that need to be made? Notifying banks and creditors. You have to make sure that, and I learned this, unfortunately, when it was late, but when I lost my mom and it came to the bank account, and even though we had access to the bank account, the branch manager said, you need to have a beneficiary on the account, because that gives that person full access to everything that goes on. You can make those changes. You can list what needs to be listed. Now, yes, you may have a second party on there who may have access, but being that beneficiary on that bank account says something entirely different. And I just learned that 2 years ago. So that's very important. So what did I do? I went to my bank account and I listed the beneficiary on my bank account. So if something happens, they're going to contact my beneficiary. Now, if there's more than one person listed, you have to make sure those percentages are listed. If those percentages are not there, we don't know how it would get distributed, but you want to make sure, and it's the smallest things They look for zip codes. They look for the state abbreviations. They look for those percentages. They even look for initials. It's the smallest things that they look for, but it's so important. Keep copies. I'm a paper pusher. I don't really care for technology. I use it because I have to, but I'm a paper pusher. Believe me, I got copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. And I may have them in my office. I may have them at a storage space. I may have it at a friend's house. I'm going to definitely have it within my email. So if something happens, someone that knows me has this access and can go through these things. Make copies. You have to put them in places so people can be able to access them. When it comes to going online and freezing those accounts, you may have all access depending on how the accounts are set up, but it's so important to freeze some accounts because you don't want any activity going on, especially if you don't know what that person was doing. So let's say something happens to me, God forbid. My wife automatically knows, stop everything. Stop it. Because she don't know what I got coming out of my personal account. She don't know what I got going on with my business account. So what does she do to protect it? She stops it. And how can she stop and freeze it? Because she's a beneficiary on that bank account. That is so important. Password manager is important. Have your passwords sent to a trusted member that you talk to. Trust me, it's so important to have that with those security questions. Email a copy of that to yourself so someone can get to it and have that digital access to it. Print it. It's so important to have this information. And this is within the first 30 to 60 days. 30 to be exact. Have a financial POA if you don't. That's important. What do you mean, Shavonna? Have a power of attorney over your stuff if you don't trust a friend or a family member or your spouse. Have someone that can be that mediator to get these things done that I mentioned up above. You have to stop automatic debts when you're not here. That means that person has to go into that account and make these phone calls and then send over these documentations. If you've left dependents behind, you have to name that legal guardian. You have to set up those custodial accounts, investment accounts. And again, I said make copies when it comes to those death certificates. Make about 60 copies. And I may be over exaggerating, but depending on the situation for that individual, it's better to have more than not have enough at all. So it's so important for that to happen. When it comes to the claims and the benefits, that's life insurance, employer benefits, Social Security survivor benefits, pension benefits, federal student loan discharges, COBRA special enrollments. You will have to contact all of these entities. Those are phone calls. What does this mean, Shavonna? How is this affecting me? Well, I don't know a 9 to 5 that you could sit at and handle your personal business and conduct the business of the company, which means you're going to have to take off work, which means because you're the one that's over this and responsible and you have been elected to carry on all of this, you have to deal with all of this, with all of it. I've been through it twice. When I lost my father, I had help. Me and my sister, we tag teamed with everything we tag teamed with. And when I lost my mom, it was the same with my brother. Some things he was able to assist with, absolutely. And then some things he couldn't. And it's okay, because somebody had prayed for me to be able to move how I moved, because I couldn't pray for me. But I knew that this had to go on. I'm trying to hold the conversation with Social Security, with my employer, with the life insurance company, and hold back tears because once you say why you're calling, they know. But here comes my condolences to you and your family, or I'm sorry for your loss. And you still have to try to remain professional. You still have to have that business hat on. So it's so important that you have to try to prepare yourself for these phone calls. So you're gonna have to miss work. So this is how it affects your finances. In case you lose someone by suicide and there is no valid will, let's say nothing is on the table and it's just you, what the steps you need to take would be you need to obtain a certified death certificate. And what you would do is get that from the funeral home. You would have to file a petition for administration in a probate court of the county where that person lived. So let's just say that person stayed in DuPage County and you stay in Cook County. Well, you would have to file a petition with that circuit court of will to petition for administration. You would also have to name close relatives that should be prepared to publish a notice in the local newspaper about you holding this petition, just so they're not blindsided. This is other calls that you have to make. This is other responsibilities that you would have to take care of. And again, you can't get this all done in one day. And again, I don't know about your job, but I've been in corporate America a lot of years, and I don't know a corporate America or any job that will allow you to handle personal calls and emails the duration of your shift. So you would need to take off. Also, let's talk about the business aspect of this. Excuse me while I take some water. Let's talk about the business aspect, the business legal challenges you face. And I'm going to use me for an example because I can't talk about anyone else but me. Let's say me and my friend go into business together. We sit down, we talking, and we say, hey, guess what? We want to make cupcakes and cocktails and deliver them to people. We haven't went through the process of establishing a business on paper. This is just me and her thinking about something and putting it into effect and trying to do it and work with it. So me and my friend are getting up every day. We're making these cupcakes and cocktails. We're delivering them. We're buying all the materials and supplies for it. We got a schedule going, and it's just her and I. Again, there is no documents on file, nothing at all. And we're sitting on the rooftop and we're talking about this. And so now our business is going good. And we haven't decided how we wanted to move. We just want to see if this would work for the first year or so. And if it does, we'll turn around and do the logistics. Now, we know that we need to have it on paper, but we're going to do trial and error first because everybody may not like cupcakes and cocktails. But okay. So now we do this for a year passes, come slap us in the face, it's gone. We on year number 2. We didn't establish relationships with clients. We didn't build networks with clients because they done referred us to different places. We done been to different job sites. We done just did so much, yet nothing is on paper. Boom. I lose my friend to death by suicide. So all of those business relationships that we've established, because nothing is on paper, if those business owners do not want to deal solely with me, then that's going to be a problem because there's nothing on paper. All we have is word of mouth. So if you're in business, make sure you have your name on any legal documents. Make sure. your EIN letter, your articles of organization, your articles of incorporation. Make sure your name is on there. That's important because anything can happen. Any contracts that you set up, make sure it's in writing. If you don't have a business name, make sure these documents are notarized. You can get them also electronically notarized. Set up a schedule. Guess what? You may say, I don't know anybody. Hello, Anointed Accounting does electronic notarization. Yes, that's a service that we offer. And you can do that. Make sure you consult with a business lawyer and a commercial lawyer. Two different lawyers. Business is for business, commercial is commercial. Make sure you consult with your accountant as well. Have an accountant on board with you. It's going to be so important because here come numbers. You're going to want to know if you can show a profit. Assets is going to play a big part in that because they're going to look for those balance sheets and that cash flow statement, people. Depending on the proceedings or the litigation, you may need a forensic accountant. In case some of you didn't know, I went to school for a forensic accountant. My master's is in forensic accounting. We do forensic accounting at Anointed Accounting. And these are just some tips that I want to give you because you don't think about this when the inevitable happens, nor do we think about it while we're here because it's something that we'll put on the back burner or it's something that we'll discuss later. But what happens when later never comes? And again, what's the cliche? If you stay ready, you don't have to worry about being ready or getting ready. So let's talk about estates and taxes. We got beneficiary versus probate assets. Yes, that's a big one. So when we talk about beneficiaries, these are assets that pass directly to the person you've named without going through probate. That's what that is. So they're listed, they're named, no court is involved because you've sealed all those documents. They were a co-signer on a loan or a credit card. They on joint account holders. They live in the community and pay property taxes. Now, if you do one of those, let's say the estate does not have enough money. The debts are left unpaid. Creditors cannot automatically transfer debt to their heirs. So my mom and my dad passed. Any debt that they had, they could not pass along to me or my siblings. They can't do that. So their debt went with them. Sometimes people prepare for that. If there is debt, they use that money and they come back and they pay for those expenses. Well, my mom was one that didn't believe in bills at all. So she didn't leave no debt behind. My dad, we took care of all his bills because he got sick. So we made sure there was nothing left behind. But again, these are conversations that need to be had so you could be put in the right position to handle what's gonna come. That's so important. And I know I just gave you a lot, and that's within that first 30 to 60 days. This is what you're gonna go through. And I know you're saying, but we haven't had time to grieve. We haven't had time. Well, that time is gonna come, just not right now, because you have to get things ready. And again, you're still not back at work. So you're holding on, going into your savings, maybe using all of your PTO time, maybe tapping into your 401k, but this is attacking your finances because you were not prepared for this. You were not ready for this. Now, let's talk about the cost of healing when it comes to budgeting and recovery and support. mapping the true cost, therapy, medications, transportation, childcare, reduced hours. Let's start backwards. Reduced hours. Let's say you can go to work. You can't work 8 hours. Maybe you could only work 4. Let's say you can work 8 hours, but you can't work 5 days a week. You can only do 2 days a week. So now your finances is affected. That $1,000 a week check has now went to $300. That's a $700 deficit. Let's say childcare. You still have to send your child to daycare. Daycare is still charged whether they show up or not. That's still an expense that you have to pay for. Transportation, if you're driving, that's gas. And any maintenance that may happen to the car. If you're not driving and you're using a ride share service or public transportation, that costs. You need money to pay for that. Medications. Let's say something is triggered and they may suggest a medication for you. That's out-of-pocket costs that you have to cover. But you're not going to work. You don't have it because you're still taking care of the loss. And you're dealing with that. Therapy. You're going to need to talk to someone. If you want to. That would be solely your decision. They have sliding scale clinics in the community. Some communities offer community outreach services where you could come. Then you have other healthcare facilities that charge based on the person's income and their ability to pay, and if it could be set at a fixed rate. So let's just say you don't have health coverage. You could utilize one of these healthcare facilities or sliding scale facilities that will work with you because you don't get that type of money. Community mental health centers are available. Telehealth is available, which is remote monitoring and virtual conferencing. Group therapy. Negotiating medical bills equals hardship, which is lowering the cost. They have medication manufacturers, like it's program sponsorships, companies for pharmaceuticals to get financial help. You have a free drug program for patients who can't afford their medications. And then you have some jobs that offer patient assistant programs, PAPs. That's important. That's very important. Now, the important fact about a beneficiary is that assets are generally giving at a much faster and private speed. So if you're the beneficiary, no one has to know. You're not in probate court. You're going to get what's left to you, and that's it. These are assets that do not have beneficiaries. And when you have to go through a probate court, that's something different, which means that could take several months or even years. Court costs, attorney fees, you have to pay for all that if you don't have that beneficiary. So see, this is extra cost that's coming out of your pocket. With it being probate, it's also public record. So anybody can see this. Whereas if you have that beneficiary, everything is private. Can't nobody see it. And when it becomes unprivate, it's because you told it. A lot of people assume that when that loss occurs, finances stop. That's not true. We no longer have to deal with taxes. That's not true. A final tax return needs to be prepared for that individual. And if that individual had a business and filed out on a corporation form, both tax returns need to be due. This is from the Internal Revenue Service, and I'm going to read it to you. The cause of death does not change the legal requirement to file taxes for the deceased person's estate. The personal representative executor, administrator, etc. If there is a surviving spouse, they have to file a joint return. If no personal representative was appointed and there is no surviving spouse, the person in charge of the deceased property must file that return. So let's say you're not listed on anything. Let's say you had to file that petition with that county's court because you're the administrator and you're over this. You now have to find all of their documents for that prior tax year and get that tax return done and submitted. Yes, that's important. It don't stop. And you're still dealing with this as you're trying to recover. You're also budgeting and trying to make things make sense for you financially and deal with a loss. It's so much going on. You're trying to carry on the weight of all of it. When it comes to the debts that are left, this is how it's distributed. The estate pays the debts. So if you had an estate, debts are paid from the deceased estate because it's their money, their property, and their assets. So if you have an estate, if you have a will, and you have debts that's left, that will be taken care of through that estate. That estate that's over it is going to pay for all of that. They'll be sent the death certificates, the copies of everything paid will go into those estate records, and it'll be closed off. In most cases, family members do not pay. Remember, I just said the debt cannot transfer over to the heir, but that's different if you hold an estate. So surviving family are generally not personally responsible for the loved one's debt unless you're rebuilding income, which means you want to pay for it. So now you're going to work and create a work schedule so you can pay for that person's debts. That's something that you're taking on. You may want to try to work remotely so you can have a little more free access to do something else so you can cover those financial aspects that were left behind. You may want to switch your role at work. You may even go on a short-term disability because at some point you said, look, I'm taking on a lot. I'm dealing with a lot. I have not had the proper time to grieve. What is the proper time? There is no proper time. But if you're going to be the most productive and best that you're going to be at your job, you may have to step away because you may face some triggers. They may have you thinking about the situation that you're very well grieving over, which is the loss of someone, the overwhelming task that you had to perform, the financial aspect of that. That's grief. All of that is grief, and you're grieving over that. Now you have to grieve over the loved one that you lost on top of what you're already grieving over, and still handle financial responsibilities. Still got the tax return coming. And if a business was put into play, you still got to find all the documents if you don't know where nothing is at. So now do you understand why these conversations are so important and need to be held? Even if you have them annually or semi-annually, have these conversations with your family so you're not blindsided. You're not left behind. You know what's going on. As my mom used to say, I'm telling everybody because I don't want no problems. I'm telling everything and everybody. And that's so true. And I will be the first to tell you that these conversations are challenging. They're very challenging. But you rather know and be prepared than not know and be scrambling and trying to find things. And then you're even more frustrated because you can't find what you need to find. And so now you're starting to make those phone calls and you're getting even more frustrated with the customer service representative that's on the phone, when in all actuality, had the conversation been had prior to this wouldn't be happening. And again, I know that this is an overload. This is a lot. But this is what individuals go through in that first 30 to 60 days of losing someone, death by suicide, or losing someone, period. And you're the responsible one. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. So as I begin to close out the show, and of course, I know we still got some more time. Anointed Accounting is here. As I said, we have a network full of people that you can reach out to. And again, if you didn't reach out to someone and acknowledge Suicide Prevention Day on September 10th, it's okay. Still reach out to that person. I had some people reach out to me last week about the closing that I said. And, you know, just listening to people share how much validity was in what I stated. And sometimes the truth can hurt. Because I recall saying that that person that walked away, choosing peace over pain is the hardest fight of all. And selfishly, we want to keep these people here for us, selfishly, not understanding that we're being selfish to them because they're in pain, they're struggling, and they're not talking. And we've ignored all the signs. We were not there, or we couldn't be there, or we put it on the back burner. We didn't recognize what was right in front of us. So selfishly, we don't want to relinquish them. But that was the safest thing for them to do at that moment, which could have been the hardest thing for them to do. But we don't know because we're not in their shoes. And it took someone to tell me, you know, I had to think about that and I had to contemplate on that. And now I think I'm ready to not only talk to somebody about what I'm going through, but I think I need to start getting things in order. And the person that shared with me said, you know, I'm well over 50. I know better. But I remember doing a show with the Ticket to Kick It, and the thing that stood out with me the most that he said is that it's never too late. It's never too late. And when you're reaching out to get help, that says something. That says that you're trying to better yourself because you realize that something is wrong. And you don't care about that stigma because you don't want to be in that space. So for our closing today, I'm going to read that to you. And I do hope that you guys take something from this, not just that it's affecting your finances, but for us to just be more intentional about how we utilize the 24 hours a day that we're granted. So as our show comes to an end, I want to leave you with this thought. Please, please take time to pause and reach out for support. Whatever that looked like to you. I'll call my sister Benita crying in a heartbeat. I will, and won't say 2 words. And then when I'm done crying, I tell her I'll call her back. Because at that moment, I needed that support. And she was there for whatever reason. Then there may be times I may say, you know what? Let me put on some comedy because laughter is good for the soul. So yeah, that's my support. Remember, if you've lost someone, you are grieving too. Again, Even though you're at the forefront of everything, you lost somebody. So you're grieving. It's okay to give yourself space to feel, to cry, and to lean on others. I know I did. I even leaned on my clients when I lost my mom. I can recall telling a couple new clients, look, I have to refund you your deposit. I can't work on your return because mentally I'm not even there yet. I just lost my best friend. Like, I don't care about your taxes right now. I don't even care about me. And I'll never forget one of my clients said, sister, take as long as you need to take because I'm not going nowhere. I understand how you feel because I too had a loss, and my loss feels like I just lost it this very moment, and it's been well over 25 years. So you take the time that you need. And this client also reached out to me on a weekly basis with a prayer, not even concerned about their tax return. So it's okay to grieve. People understand. Take that space for yourself. Your feelings are real. Feel your feelings. They're real. They matter. When it comes to financial steps, the paperwork, the legal matters, the phone calls, they can wait a moment while you catch your breath and gather your strength. These responsibilities will be there tomorrow. And that is so true. I'm a living witness. I lost my mom November 9th. I needed a day. I couldn't do nothing at all. I couldn't even call my job. My best friends, Lachey and Shamil, stepped in and made every phone call. And they came to my house to make sure I was okay. Your heart needs tending to, and they wanted to make sure I was okay. They took that time to make sure I was okay. And it's okay to do that. Whether a loved one passes away from natural causes, an accident, or suicide, the estate and tax process is the same. But what isn't the same is the weight of the loss. That's why compassion, care, and communities are just as important as checklists and deadlines. So yes, we have to check on one another. We have to be there for one another in whatever situation and however that may look. Please remember that you are not alone. You are not going through this alone. Support is out there. And I'll be the first to tell you, I wasn't the first to go grab therapy. I wasn't. And every conversation I had with my pastor, he would say, Shavonna, I encourage you, please get some professional help. And I told him, no, because they can't answer my question. You the pastor and can't answer my question. How they gonna answer my question? You know God better than them. So no, I'd rather give you my money than them. Absolutely not. Nope, and nope. But that was me. Therapy may very well benefit someone else. And I'm not against it. I'm not opposed to it. Because it's there and it's needed. Emotionally, spiritually, financially, give yourself permission to rest. I remember I had got my 3 days of bereavement at work and I just was not ready. And when I went back, everything was messed up. And I told them, hey, you can fire me at this point. Because I done already lost everything. Mentally, I'm not ready to even do the job. And my manager told me, take you 3 more days off. We'll revisit this. Because you're no good to me if you're no good to yourself. And that was a valid statement. So, I'm going to give you some takeaways for our show today. And that's, if you're going through something, if you're struggling, if you're feeling down and out, hashtag 988. That's the crisis lifeline. You could also contact Anointed County. There's a survival financial checklist. Download that checklist. Check some things off while you're talking to your families. Go through that checklist. Leave no stone unturned. Because again, I told him I want my purple casket. I want 12 doves, and one of them better be spray painted purple. And now that I'm thinking about it, I want it to be an iridescent purple. Yep. Even if that's the color. A recovery budget must contain a must section, a care section, and an everything else section. Believe it or not, I just found that out. And guess what I did? I created one. And I'm still adding to it. And when it's done, I'm going to make all my copies. And then I'm going to distribute it to who needs it to be distributed to. Because God forbid, if something happens to me, I need to make sure my affairs are in order. Listeners, my audience, as always, I appreciate you all. You all give me the energy to do this because the conversations I have, everyone talks about getting paid when all of this information is just free knowledge. It just takes somebody to sit and do the research and have the care and concern and want to do it, and also just want to know more than what they know. So thank you all for tuning in. Share the content. It's so free to hit that share button. Share across your pages. Invite people to come out. It's so important. You don't know who's going through what. You don't know who's dealing with what. You don't know who's playing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't know who's putting on that fake facade just so you can't see between the lines. Invite them to the show. Share the content. Hit that like button. If you on there strolling, hey, you know what? I don't want to hear what Shavonda talking about today, but I'm going to pass it. I'll come back to it later. Bring a friend. Share the love. So as my mama and Aunt Johnny would say, we got a power-packed show next week. Every week is power-packed because we're on Let's Talk Finances with Anointed Accounting. Yes, you see how everything revolves around finances? It absolutely does. It ties into finances. Here is what we got to look forward to next week. As I said, I'm up until Monday at midnight, which is technically Tuesday. Corporation tax deadline. I know we're going to have these last minute people coming in here, but that's Monday. So listen to my corporations that's out there. We're already at the last minute. Be getting those receipts together. Be making those phone calls. I know the business line and personal line is going to be ringing. We're still in the month of September, which is we're still lifting up suicide prevention and awareness, making people know. Share the content on the business page. If you're not following the business page, please follow it. I put so much information out there because I want my people to know and be informed. Conversations save lives. They really do. Our topic for next week is going to be Let's Talk Finance, and that peace has a price tag. Going through this grieving process, peace has a price tag. As we reflect on International Day of Peace, that's coming. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be breaking down how household finances look when you're grieving and you're going through the loss of someone by death, by suicide, or natural causes or accident. I would love for everyone to tune in. And if you can't tune in at the time, I would love for you to just go to the YouTube page and watch it. The contact information is on all social media platforms at Anointed Accounting, ANOINTED, ACCOUNTING. The website, www.ANOINTEDACCOUNTING.com. Telephone number 312-837-7219. contact us. The YouTube page, go to YouTube, type in Anointed Accounting, subscribe to that page. It's so much information on there. So much information. Again, like the information, share the information, love the information. Be intentional about being intentional on checking on someone. Know that Anointed Accounting is here for you. We love you. We support you. I can't wait to see you all next week. Have an excellent, excellent, excellent weekend. Get ready for a phenomenal week. And I'm finna go hit these corporation tax returns. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. See you next week. Great big world out there. Bye.